So the Redmane Knights serve under General Radahn and are encountered in the region of Caelid, specifically Fort Gale, equipped with their Redmane Knight set, Greatbow, Partisan and Knight's Greatsword. But how would their build compete in practice against opponents both in the arena and bosses in the lands between? I'm Bite-Sized Otaku, and in this video we'll be exploring how the Redmane Knight cosplay could work and seeing whether there are any improvements we can make to take this build to the next level. But like the video and give it to me bite-size. So for this build we have the Redmane Knight set, which boasts 51 poise and pretty good defensive stats which lead towards fire resistance. This set won't provide us with any passive bonuses or special effects, but can act as a fashion piece for many armor combinations. Next we have our weapons. The Knight's Greatsword is the signature piece amongst these types of enemies, and I've opted for a heavy infusion to complement our strength investment. This weapon is infused with Lion's Claw, which is the attack the enemies use in the game. Our Partisan is also heavy and equipped with Giant's Hunt. Then we have the Greatbow, equipped with Rain of Arrows and utilising Radahn's Spear, which seems like a sensible choice of arrows. Lastly, our Redmane Great Shield is default without a skill, so we can utilise our weapon art and focus on blocking when required. Because this is a vanilla build, we won't be using any talismans or incantations not utilised by the character themselves, but our improved version may find us making modifications to compete with the meta and optimise our chances for success. On our stats, I've gone for a few that will allow us to utilise all of our equipment without needing to spend a larval tier, and this means 60 Vigour and 40 Endurance so we can stay on the offensive. This is then followed by 50 Strength and 30 Dexterity on the level 137 Vagabond, which will benefit our heavy infusion. I've also dropped a spare point into our 11 Mind so we can get an extra cast of our weapon arts. But what's our strategy for winning? Well, we should start off with the bow for some early damage, timing our shots to try and land a hit or two before our opponent reaches us, similar to the actual Radahn. Rain of Arrows is better for standing targets rather than moving ones, so expect great results on dragons, but lesser results on nimble tarnished. Our Knight's Greatsword is a pretty good weapon across a range of builds, boasting a diverse moveset, which allows us to perform a range of sweeps or overhead swings with excellent speed. Our Partisan is a great thrusting weapon, and when combined with Giant Hunt, has great roll catching potential. And lastly, our shield is great for blocking attacks from both enemies and players alike, allowing for poking with the Partisan or the use of weapon arts for a surprise attack. But there are some problems. The Lion's Claw is fairly slow and easily readable, making it difficult to land without trading. We also don't have the longest range or hyper armor on the Partisan, making it tricky to trade with enemies. Our Knight's Greatsword is shorter than the Zweihander or Greatsword, meaning we will often touch the nose tips of enemies with longer reach or quicker movement speed. And lastly, outside of some bosses or enemy groups, our bow isn't particularly useful outside of its weapon art, and it's super heavy to carry around. So let's make some adjustments. For our armor, let's keep the Redmane set, but swap out the gauntlets and greaves for the scaled pieces, which will give us better defense and poise while maintaining that metal armor look. Let's add Flaming Strike onto our Flame Art Knight's Greatsword to combo opponents for massive damage, and add Gravitas onto our Heavy Partisan for a ranged option, and ditch the Greatbow. For our talismans, let's look into the Shard of Alexander to boost our skill damage, the Borger's Talisman for our poise, Erdtree Favor +2 for our stats, and the Fire Scorpion Charm for bonus fire damage at the cost of more damage taken. Then let's add Catch Flame and Flame Grant Me Strength on the Claw Mark seal so we can benefit from our strength investment. Flame Grant Me Strength is an excellent incantation as it will boost both our physical and fire damage, but unfortunately it only lasts for 30 seconds. We can also adjust our stats by sacrificing some dexterity to boost our mind for casting, faith for damage, and keeping our strength relatively high for that physical damage. Now let's see if it's an improvement. Already we're getting far better results. Our Flame Grant Me Strength will boost our damage output, putting us at a major advantage against our opponent, and Flaming Strike is doing brilliant damage on that fire alone, with the strike vigor checking anyone who gets caught. Gravitas will draw enemies in, which can be useful against casters and enemies in mid-air, allowing us to get them within striking distance. It's also super useful for finishing off enemies with that sliver of health. Our regular attacks when buffed with fire will also benefit from the damage boost, allowing us to trade with enemies who may otherwise outdamage us. Catch Flame is a quick punisher for enemies who get too close, allowing you to perform a range of true combos when you follow up with another chain cast, and that can include Flaming Strike. And lastly, I didn't find myself utilising the shield very often in the arena, but it's a lifesaver in PvE, where enemies are aggressive and often attack you without strategy, allowing you to utilise the weapon art at close range. But if you do use a shield in the arena, you'll be rewarded with a guard counter overhead strike on the sword, which can truly combo into flaming strike, and a counter thrust up with the spear. But overall, the Redmane Knight is a fantastic cosplay build, which can be obtained early in the game, providing you with an arsenal of powerful fire and gravity based attacks, allowing you to authentically play the Redmane while being efficient in combat and exploration alike. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course subscribe. This is Bite Sized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.